Well, good evening and welcome to this pre-recorded special edition of pjnet.tv, and it's always special. I appreciate the guests who arranged to pre-record this. We do most of our programs live, but sometimes that's not possible. So let's find out the circumstances of why. Wait a minute, Lori Kesey was supposed to be here. That's not Lori Kesey. Is Lori Kesey in the other room? Can you go get her, Heather? Well, folks, it is the Christmas season, and that is a busy time of year. And apparently, Lori has some commitments that couldn't be rearranged. So, Heather, you get a phone call or an email or a text from Lori saying, bail me out.
Yep, that's pretty much what happened. She emailed me and said, you need to talk to Mark. So here I
Well,
am.
so how do you know Lori?
So she was on my launch team, and we're Facebook friends. So just through the writing community, we met, and yeah, she was on my launch team for my new book.
Well, there you go. As it turns out, you have some news.
I do.
Well, don't keep it a secret. Tell us your news.
So my book, Path of Totality, launched on November 8th. So it's available on Amazon in paperback and on Kindle, and it's on Kindle Unlimited.
Well, and there is the front cover.
It is.
Now, for a lot of people, they do their manuscript, and this is a process. But that process, when you have a publisher, a lot of that stuff gets done for you. But when you're self-published, guess who gets to do everything?
Me.
So you designed this beautiful front cover?
No, actually, so I found I'm not very artistic. I'm a very creative person, but I couldn't draw my way out of a wet paper bag.
Mm-hmm.
So I found a girl I know. Her name's Hannah Linder, and she does covers, and she designed the cover for me.
A lot of people, when they get a book or see a book or know of a book, they see the author. It says right there, you're the author. But there's a lot of people. Publishing a book, especially self-publishing, is a team sport. But you're the name on the cover, but there's some other names. Let's take a moment and think about all the people on your team that put this together.
So yeah, I mean, I had a writing coach who helped me through the whole writing process from first draft to final edits. Larry Leach, I don't know if you know him, but
he's been on our program. He's pretty popular.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. So he like I said, he's been there from pretty much day one all the way through to the end with me on this one. And I actually just emailed him chapters 1 through 4 of book 2. So we're getting ready to jump in on that and work together again on that. He helped me with brainstorming. He helped me with, maybe we should take it in a different direction, or maybe you need more here. So he really came alongside me and helped me out with that. And then, Hannah Linder did the cover. I had Becky Ankowski and Koviak.
Okay. She was about to tell us about Heather, but her connection froze up. So what I'm going to do is pause a moment, and we'll be back in just a second with Heather Kreke.
Okay.
Okay, we're back with hopefully a connection that'll stay put for a minute. Heather, you were mentioning the people, and you mentioned Larry Leach, of course, and then Becky Antoviak was next as we were disconnected.
Yeah, she came alongside and she gave it a good, thorough edit. And Diane Mills has been mentoring me for 13 years, so she's always there to go ahead and encourage me whenever I want to give up or brainstorm or whatever it is that I need. She's always been there for me. Vincent Brent Davis is helping me with all of the Amazon marketing, all of the marketing. That's kind of his special niche, and so he's come alongside me to help me with that because I had no idea what I was doing. So a lot of people think that writing a book is something that you do by yourself sitting at your computer, but really there's a lot of people that come alongside you, especially when you're self-publishing, that you just kind of, I've been really blessed to have really awesome people come alongside and help me out.
So give me an idea from start to finish, when the book was published and it was available to purchase. How far back do I have to go for the start of Path of Totality? Is it a month? Is it a year? How long did it take?
It took 2 years from when I first started writing to when I published, almost exactly. It was 2020, and we were at the Blue Ridge Conference in November because it had gotten pushed back from May to November. And I was sitting with Larry Leach at dinner, actually, and I was kind of having my I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. I'm never going to get published moment. And he came beside me and he was like, "No, come on, we can do this." And this is how he became my writing coach. And he said, "I will help you. I'll come alongside you and I can help you through this." And so I went home and we started emailing, we started Zooming every 2 weeks. I wrote the first draft. And once the first draft was finished, then I edited it. Diane edited it. He edited it. Becky edited it. So many people just went through and did lots of, the editing and everything for me. And that was a couple month long process in itself, just to get all the edits done and make all the changes and everything. And then I had to, get the cover design going. I had to create a launch team, which is like a group of people to kind of come alongside me and spread the word on Facebook that, hey, I have this book coming out, and they get advanced reader copies. So they kind of get a little sneak peek of it. And then they can kind of, on release day, they can review for me on Amazon, put it up, and they can tell their friends what they thought about the book.
2 years from start to finish. Now, take us back 2 years. You were at the Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference. That's a mouthful. That was a rough time for a lot of people.
It was. I mean, it was 2020. COVID was going strong, and we had just come off of quarantine for a lot of people and everything. It was nice to be back in public. The conference was definitely more subdued that year. There were a lot of my friends that weren't able to come, which was part of, I was missing everybody, and I was just kind of in a funk to begin with because of 2020 and everything that had happened. And that's kind of why, part of played into what had me at the breaking point. And it was kind of like, I'm not a real writer. I've been doing this for so many years, and I'm not, don't have anything to show for it. And that was when Larry said, "No, that's not God talking. That's the enemy talking, and that's not true. And we can do this. You can do this, and I believe in you." And that's when he kind of came alongside and helped me out. So,
all right. So it sounds like at the time you're at the conference, it sounds like you are going to that conference to have a big pity party.
It kind of just turned into a pity party. That wasn't my intention, but
right, because these conferences are there's usually some travel involved, there's some expense involved, there's obviously time involved. So here you are at the conference in a fog of sorts. But when you booked the conference, you weren't in a fog then, were you?
Oh, no. I mean, I love this. This year will be my 7th Blue Ridge, and I mean, really? I love.
Oh, you're an expert.
Yeah, I mean, so that was my 5th one, and it's a wonderful conference. Everybody there is family. Everybody's so supportive and everything. It's just like I said, this one was a little, not very many people came because most people were either still in quarantine or, worried about getting sick, so a lot of my friends weren't there. So it was just like, I spent a lot of time kind of alone and kind of struggling. And so it was definitely a me thing. It wasn't the conference thing, right, for sure.
Well, it sounds like that. And we have had Larry on the program, and so many people have talked about him. He just wouldn't let you quit, it sounds like. But when I hear about writing coaches, I wonder, it's kind of an intangible. How many hours during the process of writing a book do you have scheduled weekly Zoom meetings that last an hour, or tell us how that works?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure every coach kind of does it differently. Everybody has their own program and way of doing it. The way that Larry and I did it was I would send him anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 words every 2 weeks. He would go through it. He would make suggestions. He would write comments. He would correct my spelling. He would all kind of things like that. And then we would meet on Zoom for about an hour every 2 weeks. And if I didn't send him something for 2-3 weeks, he'd kind of email me and say, "Hey, what's going on? It's time to send me something. Why aren't you writing?" So he kind of kept me going if I stalled out, or if I was like, "Hey, I have no idea what happens next. I'm kind of stuck." We would kind of just call and talk through it. And, well, what if this happened? Well, what if this happened? So it worked really well.
So it sounds to me like, you said this was a 2-year process. All right, so you get started, and then 2 years later there's the book, but it doesn't sound like a linear path from point A to point B. Does it kind of go in spurts?
It definitely did for me. Most authors don't take 2 years to put out a book. I'm sure people, there are writers that write a lot faster than I do and everything. It took me a while to get the first draft out on paper. This being my first novel and everything, the process just took a little longer. Once I finished the final round of edits and we started moving towards, okay, I decided to self-publish. This is what's going to happen. It moved pretty quickly. I think I decided to self-publish at the beginning of September. So when I made the decision to actually getting it out was only a couple of months. And in that time, that's when I got my launch team together, got the cover done, made formatted the inside of the book, and did the actual publishing type steps.
Now, I saw a book trailer on YouTube.
Yeah.
Not everybody does a book trailer, but you did.
No, I did. A friend of mine, Shannon Redmond, did the trailer, and I mean, my jaw dropped when I first saw it. Just the rough draft of it. It was amazing. She just did such a great job. I just thought, since it's a dystopian novel, it kind of lends itself to the film format. So I thought that would be a really neat thing to have done.
Amazing. Now, you said, wait a minute. First, tell us a little. Don't tell us too much. Path of Totality. Tell us a little bit about the story.
So it's at the beginning of World War III. A group of people called Zealots are attacking anybody and any corporations. So think like Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has a Christian viewpoint. So any corporations that have any religious viewpoint, doesn't have to be Christian, doesn't have to be, any form of belief is being attacked. And so that what they're doing is they're bombing cities just to make their point of phrase again.
No, you're on. Whoop. Okay. We'll be back with more of Heather.
Okay.
Okay, folks, we are back. And Heather, before we got disconnected, the Zealots were bombing anything and everything having to do with religious beliefs. So they want a culture or a society or a world that doesn't have faith in anything.
Exactly.
Really?
And
yuck.
That's where we're going. That's where I went. So, in the story starts out on the first attacks on American soil. It's been going on in other countries, but right when the book starts, that's when the first attacks happen in this country. And later on that night, since we have been supporting so many other countries and trying to prevent this from happening in our own country, our military spread pretty thin. So they institute the draft. And now, since we're in the year like 2045, 2055, the draft has been changed where it's anybody over the age of 17, men, women,
Mm-hmm.
anybody. So my main character gets drafted, even though her dad was killed in the war, and she's nervous that she's going to be killed too, and that all of her friends are going to be killed. And she really doesn't want to do this, but you have to, or else, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
dodging the draft is not a good thing. So she goes and she signs up, and she finds herself in the military where she's forced into battle. And I don't want to spoil anything, but a bunch of stuff happens, and she actually does end up deserting from her unit. And then she's being hunted by the military because she's wanted for desertion. And she spends the rest of the book trying to get back to her family and get reunited with them.
Amazing. Well, it, you said, I remember you saying it took about 2 years. And then I also remember you saying that you've started work on your next book. So should we have you back in a couple of years when that one's done?
I'm hoping this one comes out a little quicker. My goal is to have my rough draft done by April or May. So hopefully, definitely within 2023, there will be a sequel. So
So, is that, are you seeing this as a going beyond the second book? Could there be four, five, six? I mean, how far can you take this story?
so it's actually really interesting because the way that I write, I'm what we call a pantser, and I don't have an outline. I don't know where book two's even going. Originally, book one was supposed to almost be a prequel, and book two was supposed to be Jedzia, my main character's great
Mm-hmm.
great granddaughter's story. Um, and that's just not the way that it turned out. So I really have no idea if this is going to be two books, three books, or more.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you could just once you establish this idea, the branches lead everywhere. In a story like that. But Heather, it's you've been very accommodating, and I regret. I'm so sorry that we keep vanishing, and
Yeah,
but we will
about
stitch
that.
this together, and we appreciate you standing in for Lori. Now I understand, if I get it correctly, that we're going to be having you come on again for next month's program.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have by that time Christmas will be over and the New Year will be over, and who knows what'll happen? There'll be something. But Heather, thank you for standing in. And hey, as it turns out, you've got quite an interesting thing going on here, and I appreciate you sharing. And we'll see you again next month. And on behalf of Lori, thank you for accommodating us and being here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Glad to do it. Thank you. That was what a story. What an awesome person she is. Heather. And well, we get to see more next month. So as we do here at pjnet.tv, something that personally, well, it drives me, and I want to share it with you because it has helped me. I want you to ask yourself two questions. Here's the first one. What is the boldest thing that you have ever done for Jesus Christ? Question number two, when was that? And the challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.